everyone, welcome to Word Funk. I am Leon Thomas. I am joined by Austin Yorsky and Johnny Maloney. Guys, I have no topics for this week. Go.
There's a lot of responsibility to just put on two of your dearest, closest friends with no warning.
I apologize. No, in all seriousness, I forgot to say topics in the Skype chat.
I noticed
early today. I'm very sorry. I've been so busy today. Not only doing my regular job. Well, I shouldn't say my regular job. My day job.
Your irregular job.
My irregular job. Thank you. In addition to that, my new episode has so many comments that I have to spend. I spent like all day like approving them. Like 99.9% went through. I only had to remove one for being like just having a lot of bad language in it. Everything else, even though it was like very anti whatever I was saying, is totally in there, and I think that's great. If I said something that everyone agreed with, what would be the point of even saying it? My two favorite comments, I might as well just get this out now. Just get this over with. My two favorite comments. One, I'm not going to say the person's full username, partly because I've forgotten it. But part of the person's username was the word libertarian. And there's nothing that tells you more about someone than someone putting their political party in their username. It's like the equivalent of what people say about anime avatars. Nothing against anime, but you know if you have an anime avatar, you're going to be trouble. So this guy's...
It means you're really open to having a debate with, an open mind.
Yeah, that must be it. So what I'm trying to say is, something libertarian, something, his entire comment was, no. That was it.
He got you. He got you, Leon. You didn't think of it that way, did you?
It's tough to get back from that one.
See,
I got no once, and I was in the hospital for like 3 months.
I'm kind of making fun, but in all seriousness, sometimes people have just randomly appeared in my life to talk shit to me, and I've dismissed them with a fart noise. So I'm not above, like, such things. But if you're just going to snipe from the sidelines and your name is your political party, have an argument. You clearly want to, if that is your username. But that's not my favorite.
How great would it be if, like, Big Libertarian 69 came into your comments and was like, holy shit, I'd never thought of it like that. Like, what? No way. Really?
But that's actually not my favorite comment. My favorite comment, there was a rando in my Twitter mentions, and it was Grover Norquist. The actual guy, and I want to make sure I get something right, because I always say the name of his group wrong. And I always say it's like Americans for Tax Reform. I always say, I thought it was Tax Reform American Institute. I always say it wrong. He is the president of Americans for Tax Reform.
He's also the most charismatic, likable guy ever.
Here's the funny thing. I don't follow Grover Norquist, and I did not tag him in a post and he was going to be flip and come back at me or anything. Nothing like that at all. Here's the thing about Grover Norquist that I've learned today, besides the fact that he's also on the board of the NRA. The other thing I learned about Grover Norquist today is that he is one of those guys who searches for his name on Twitter. Because I do not follow him. He definitely does not follow me. I did not tag him in anything. I just said his name out loud, well, out loud as you can on Twitter, because I noticed only in the second viewing of the Atlas Shrugged trilogy that he has a cameo in it. He has a brief cameo as a bad guy federal government worker,
with
of
that
course.
Deep, timorous voice of his that just... makes me sound like I could record a Barry White album.
He searched for his name because that's the only way it could have come across it, and he commented on it, and he says he corrected me on something. He said 2. I actually had 2 cameos in the Atlas Shrugged trilogy. One was of a homeless person, but I'm okay that you didn't notice me that way. That was his, I guess, humorous response to this. Here's the thing.
So, is he really a rando if he's Grover Norquist?
He's a rando in the sense
that is still rando behavior.
Yeah. If I don't follow you and you don't follow me and you appear in my mentions, that means by definition you are a rando. We have nothing to do with one another.
Austin,
you just found me some other way.
It's like Kool-Aid Manning, a discussion about you. Like if what's his name from The Simpsons? Hi, I'm Troy McClure. If somebody were like blah 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 Troy McClure, and then suddenly a wall breaks down, and Troy McClure runs in and goes, "Hi, I'm Troy McClure. You might remember me from the conversation you're having right now."
Yeah, basically, here's the thing. He wasn't mean or anything. He wasn't rude. He wasn't like, oh, I bet you would think that. Because I said it in a pretty flippant way. I said, Grover Norquist has a cameo in this? Jesus Christ. Because he's Grover Norquist. But he wasn't mean about it. He just made a humorous comment, and I left it alone. I had a lot to do today, as I mentioned. For about 5 minutes, I considered exploiting this because I suddenly have Grover Norquist's attention, unbeknownst to me. And I thought, it'd be funny if I said, hey, oh, thanks for correcting me, Mr. Norquist. Could you please retweet this video about the movie you were in? And I thought for a second, maybe he'd say, sure. See you at Burning Man is something he'd probably say. Here's the thing. I did not do that. Because it would be a pretty shitty thing to do. Even though I strongly disagree with all of his politics and, frankly, the destructive things that both Americans for Tax Reform and the NRA have done to my country, I don't feel like being a shitty person to someone who's never really done anything to me. So I decided not to do that. It would be super unprofessional. But it would have been funny. And that's it. I mean, I guess that was my favorite comment about my work on Atlas Shrugged. The video on it was that this guy just showed up. It's like, oh, are you really him? Because at first I thought it was a parody account, but no, it had the blue check mark. It's totally him. Grover Norquist, in between trying to make sure that rich people do not have high taxes. And before someone rushes to the comments, I realize he doesn't want anyone to have high taxes, apparently, but we all know who benefits most from his doings. So get real.
You heard it here first, folks. Grover Norquist is a seething rando.
I'm just saying, don't rush to the comments and say, no, he wants us all to have low taxes. I don't care. You know who benefits most from what he's doing. He's not in the pocket of big poor people. Okay. That's not what his lobbying firm really does. But anyway, not the point. Point is, I found it amusing. Comments have been largely good. Some people have, been, disagreed with the things I've said, but have been pretty, polite about it. One person who, is strongly against some of the things I've said is replying to like 20 different people in the comments. Oh. And by all means do it. So long as you're not a dick about it, by all means, rack up those comments. Go right ahead. Although I'm a little perplexed by the fact that he has a lot of individual comments. Instead of like one big post where he says, here's where I disagree and agree with you on this, he has just like a half a dozen unrelated comments just spewing throughout the it doesn't matter.
They keep thinking of new stuff. Like they write a thing that came to mind, and then they go and get a sandwich, and they come back, and they're like, and another thing.
That's fair. Like I said, I'm like having a little fun at the expense of some people. But in all seriousness, you're all fine. Even Grover Norquist was fine to me. So
you heard it here first, folks. Grover Norquist was fine.
This whole segment was very confusing for like foreign listeners who have no idea who that is.
Let me briefly explain. I'm sorry.
10 minutes into the thing,
and now a brief history of Grover Norquist.
Sorry, I was gonna pause and explain if Johnny said who's Grover Norquist because I'm a Canadian, but apparently he does know. Perhaps just as much as I do.
He's infamous over the border as well.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Plus, when you need a kind of a snivelly, half-beardy shield for the government, like, who are you going to get on TV? I know a guy.
Okay.
His name is Grover.
Okay, here's the funny thing about Grover. No, I'm not going to make fun. No. Let me just be completely sincere about who he is and what he does. Americans for Tax Reform is he wants
one of the big things they do is just about every politician that gets into federal government in the United States. He goes to their offices and makes them sign a document.
Yeah.
Wherein they swear, they promise they will not be introducing any new taxes.
Yeah, Grover Norquist basically tries to strong-arm Republican politicians into not raising taxes. Now, and like I said, Grover Norquist, I'm sure, does not want anyone's taxes raised, but this primarily benefits the rich. He basically has a lot of influence over Republican politics, in spite of the fact that he is not an actual politician. He's just a power broker of sorts. And it's hard to explain what he does when he's one of the most powerful Republicans in the country who is not an elected or appointed official. He just runs Americans for Tax Reform, he is
the money in politics.
Yeah, it's a taxpayer advocacy group, I guess you could say. That's what it's officially called.
When other countries hear about you, I don't know how many other countries know exactly how much about lobbying or something like that. I'm sure it's a worldwide phenomenon. But basically, these are private organizations that spend a lot of money, ample sums of money, in order to fund politicians' campaigns, in order to give them some good times once they reach office. Take them out to nice dinners, shows that nobody can get ticket to, like Hamilton maybe or something.
Ooh.
And in return, they say, "Oh, now that we're such good friends, Guy, how about you reduce my tax bracket? How about you let gun control a little looser? How about you allow me to put pork additives in toothpaste?"
Just the way the founding fathers wanted it.
Big toothpaste. Yeah. Big problem.
Look, the long and short of it is that he's a bad man, and he somehow controls a lot of Republican politicians, in spite of the fact that, like I said, he's not actually a Republican politician. He's just feared, because if you do raise taxes, he has sway. He has enough sway.
I think David Bowie wrote a song once about that sway. I think it went, money, 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 money.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's how it went.
Yeah. Look, I say bad man. Here's the thing. I've never met this person. I'm just saying. I'm trying to.
Grovers in history. How do you guys feel about Grover Cleveland?
What do you feel about Grover the Muppet?
I have much love for Grover the Muppet. I hold him very near to my heart, and also far.
Okay.
And then near, and then far.
Okay.
And then, this is the tricky part.
Yeah.
Near.
We have to stop. We have to undo all of this. We have to invent a time machine, go back, and stop this segment.
We've only been talking about this for like 15 minutes, but yes, we can absolutely stop now. Weird thing about Grover Norquist, his middle name is Glenn. Why don't you just call yourself Glenn Norquist, so you don't have to say your name's not Grover?
Why don't you mind your own business?
I'm sorry. No, I hear final statement. What I'm trying to say is, like, disagreeing with someone's politics doesn't necessarily mean that I hate you as an individual person. If you sat, I said this before, if you sat next to me on the bus, I probably wouldn't hate you, Grover Norquist. We probably talk about some things. We probably agree on some things. But you're basically have been slowly destroying the heart of my country. And sorry, I couldn't get it out. All right, we're done. We're done talking about Grover Norquist. Terrible beard. Moving on.
You have like a thing, Leon? That was a targeted thing that just happened here.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
Yeah, look, he wasn't terrible to me, so I did. I'm trying to explain that I don't want to be a dick to this person in public, but here I am. Kind of saying some shit.
It's all right, Leon. I'm trying to make me look worse, so so you can come out kind of like the middle, where everybody's like, "Wow, Austin doesn't have a bad word to say about anybody," and Leon, he's a reasonable guy, but that Johnny, what a dick.
Oh. Okie dokie. I guess we can move on. You want to talk about this week, Austin?
Oh man, I have a lot to talk about. I was expecting to have to apologize that I'm not on my game this week because I didn't sleep last night. But after that opening segment, I feel like I probably could do anything I want and be a highlight of this episode.
You're fine.
Do you want to talk about the debacle?
Oh, sure. I mean, I can briefly explain what happened. Here's the thing, everyone. Just let me do this. I can explain this in 1 minute. It's not that big of a deal. It just felt like it at the time. What happened was this. We recorded Dice Funk by all of us recording in Audacity at the same time, and then Austin couples it together. Upside to this, solid audio quality. Downside to this, Audacity is a fickle bitch, and sometimes it just crashes. And Audacity knows it's going to crash because it has all these safeguards in place that 99 times out of 100 really work. And my Audacity crashed after we were done recording, and I was not able to export my audio file in time. And I was not able to recover the temporary files that have always been there every other time this has ever happened to me. Austin and I had both tried to find ways to do this. We tried several different ways. It just didn't work. So today I basically did the podcast equivalent of reshoots and redid some of my lines. And I sent it to Austin like 25 minutes ago. And it's done now. Everything is fine. But at the time, it was a nightmare because everything had gone so smoothly in the episode, especially for me. But in Dice Funk, we've never had a big problem before. And then it kerploded. We tried so many things, and I was up much later than I wanted to be. But it's basically fine now. The episode will sound perfectly fine. It was just a real pain in the ass in the moment.
I mean, I haven't listened to your ADR yet. It might still be a disaster. I'm scared to check.
No, it's fine. You listen to it after the show and let me know.
Okay. But yeah, last night I was up to like 1 a.m. trying to figure out how to recover the files that, by everything I know about technology, should have been there. It's inexplicable the way it happened. But people have commented before, like, why does Word Funk sound different than Dice Funk? We record them in different ways. The way we record Dice Funk is harder, but I think it sounds better. And so far that's been fine. This time it was not. And I had a mini meltdown where I did not sleep last night.
Oh,
I was up and being melodramatic on Twitter, and it was a thing. But
sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm only laughing now that it's solved.
Yeah, I don't know. I was really attached to that first recording.
It's even better now.
Well, I think people know I hold myself to a high standard, but I think
I know.
I think the first episode of season 2 was fucking phenomenal. It was amazing, and I hope the new one is as good. But I did not want to lose that cool shit we did, and I was so upset. And sometimes, I try to keep my problems in perspective because I know compared to a lot of people, I have things pretty well. Even compared to you, because when Blip went down, you lost 100 million hours of your goddamn content, and you have to re-edit it, and that's a nightmare. So me losing one person's lines from an hour-long recording is not that big of a deal. But, sometimes it's hard to have perspective, and I was feeling very down. But besides the fact that you may have fixed it already, I also got some really nice words people sent my way. I've seen multiple people tell me that they're in the process of planning or animating scenes from Dice Funk, like cartoons.
Oh, really?
And also at least 2 people who are thinking about or doing some sort of video game project, turning Dice Funk into a video game.
What?
Yeah, I retweeted it earlier, but then she contacted me and she took it down because she was I think she might have been embarrassed. I don't know if she wants me to use her name, but there's people out there, and even a drawing, if you doodle one of the characters from Dice Funk, it's holy shit, that makes my week. I show everybody, I'm oh god, you gotta see this, and I gather everyone around, and I'm look at this cool thing that happened, and seeing people going above and beyond that, and it's it makes it all worth it, because objectively, I could just go get a job at McDonald's or Walmart or something and work way fewer hours and make way more money. But it's just those moments are worth all of the fucking headaches of doing internet content, which is hard to say. Also, I feel like I'm slurring my shit. Besides the fact that I'm super tired, I also ran headfirst into a corner of a cabinet earlier.
What? Why?
Someone left the cabinet door open, and I didn't notice, and I ran into it, like corner first, into my like temple, and I think I might have been concussed. I was like, for like 10 minutes. It was not good. So this is not my A game.
Why were you running indoors?
I wasn't running. I was cleaning, and I just like turned around fast while I had my head like I was looking down at the counter because I was like cleaning it, and I didn't notice that the cabinet door was open. I just like face slammed into it.
Segue into side conversation about a thing that always bothers me. Why does everyone walk backwards? Fucking stop doing it. Look, the thing is, I don't make any sound when I walk. People always say that. You always say that. They're always surprised to see me when I enter a room because everyone else just clambers around like a drunk elephant, or they're always talking. I only speak when I have something to say. I'm like Mr. Ed. So I don't just walk into a room and say, "Hey, everybody!" I walk into a room and just do whatever I'm supposed to be doing in there. And like, and people have a habit of kind of walking backwards because they assume nothing's in their peripheral if they don't hear anything, and then they walk into me. And then I'm like a fucking Canadian. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. You know, it's your fault."
Wait, who's walking backwards? Is that a thing?
Everyone. People you know, start turning backwards and turn. But I don't do that. I walk like I'm playing Resident Evil. I turn my entire body around, the first one, and then I move forward. Okay? Everyone else moves around like they're playing those games where like your left thumb moves you and the right thumb shoots, and you're always like shoot a bunch of different ways. You're horrible.
I move like I'm in QWOP. Just 4 random keys control 4 random muscles.
Okay, sorry. I've been waiting for an opening to talk about how much I hate that, and you gave me that ability just now, Austin. So I'll shut up now.
I didn't realize people are out there walking backwards all the time. It's the new craze that's sweeping the nation.
I'm not saying everyone's like suddenly doing the moonwalk, but you know, people don't always walk in an immediate direction of what's in front of them. Sometimes they're like talking to someone and then on their way out, and like, yeah, see you later, and then they're walking backwards for just like 2 steps, and then they turn around. No. Don't do it. You keep bumping into me because you don't hear me because I'm not like, I don't know, like dancing around and like screaming as I walk or something. It has something to do with the fact that because of my toes are kind of messed up, that it always looks like I'm kind of walking on high heels. So it looks like I'm sneaking, but I'm not. I'm not.
Sneaky Leon.
Yeah, I'm not. That has something to do with it too. Point is, people constantly like yelp when they see me in a room. And not because I'm like a discomforting figure, but because they're surprised because I don't announce my presence. I get everyone else must have like their like personal announcer, like Lord Pilkington is in the room now. It's like I'm there and I'm in there to like get snacks. And then,
you're painting a very strange image of this really stealthy pigeon-toed goblin skulking into rooms and shocking all these people who can only walk backwards. Like, this is some Salvador Dali bullshit world you live in, where everything is like fucking weird.
Okay.
What is your life, Leon?
I feel like my life is pretty boss. I mean, not at this exact moment in time. But in general, you know, I have a lot of my shit together. Not all of it, but more of my shit is going to get together soon.
I don't think anyone ever has all their shit together. Speaking of boss, I saw something really boss earlier today.
Nice. Good segue. Just one word. Do it.
Yeah. I was walking down the street earlier, and I heard like some...
Were you walking backwards?
No. Who does that?
Good. Thank you.
It's not a thing. Someone was playing like loud, like window shaking music with all their windows down from a car, but it wasn't like what you'd expect, like loud, like hip hop or some kind of electronic music, something like a bass drop. It was the smoothest jazz.
Nice.
Someone was just going fucking bananas on a saxophone at maximum volume.
Awesome.
Was it Moon Hooch?
I could not identify the tune. I
I hope it was Moon Hooch.
Johnny, you're a thing. So I watched some stuff this week. I think that Leon may have as well. I assume you want to talk about it?
I can talk about some things. I feel like I've taken a lot of the floor. I can explain what I watched in the past couple of weeks in 1 minute if you want, and then I'll be done.
You can try.
Okay. A few weeks ago, I tried to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I wanted to watch the first episode, but I screwed up and watched an episode in like season 3 or something, and I didn't like it. And then Johnny and Austin were like, "You need to watch the first episode, dummy." And I was like, "Okay." And then I did, and I didn't like that one either. It was just a lot of people going, sexual assault, and then a roundhouse kick. And I didn't like it. So I'm not going to watch it anymore. The end.
Yeah.
That's fair. That was 27 seconds.
Oh, nailed it.
We actually had this conversation.
I have more time. I have more time. The animation was okay. I just didn't like anything that was going on at all. No, I'm done now.
We had this conversation on air last week, and you cut it because you were embarrassed about how you failed to...
I copped to it.
I know. I'm honestly not going to even try to convince you that JoJo's worth sticking through because you just don't seem receptive, and that's fine. Like, you do your life. I just think it's funny.
I tried twice. It's over.
It's funny that you have no problem condemning me to 1,000 hours of a show that has entire seasons of worthless material, but you can't even...
I haven't condemned you. If you watched the pilot and said, "Done," I'd be like, "Don't blame you. The pilot is terrible. It is the worst. Oh my God." But no, the fact that you liked it, so you're continuing to watch it, which is cool, but I just don't like it.
I would say that JoJo's not for everybody, and the first part is weird and off-putting, totally understandable. If you could give one more chance, don't bother with the show. Seek out the OVA from the 90s. I think it's like 6 episodes, maybe. It's like you know what an OVA is, right?
Only kind of. That was sort of my problem. There's a bunch of shit, and I don't know what's what.
Okay, it's like a mini series basically. So it's like a couple episodes. It's longer than a movie. Right. It's an adaptation of the third part, which is when it starts getting like iconic. Which
is the part that I'm watching right now.
Yeah, but they've truncated it like severely. It goes from like 40 episodes of TV to like 6 episodes of this OVA. It's just the important stuff. And it's pretty good animation for the time. And I always fuck this up, but I believe Satoshi Kon worked on it.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
The animation's good. My favorite things about the JoJo OVA, and it's called Stardust Crusaders because that's the part it's an adaptation of, is that there's a giant sprite billboard in the background of like a really pivotal scene. And that's hilarious. The other part is that there's a part where the villain reads from the Quran, and they got in a lot of trouble for that and had to, I believe, pull it in some regions and like edit that out. But it's good. Like you get the gist of the stuff, and you get the cool moments. You get some pretty cool fight choreography, and then it's just like done, and you can just like put that in your mind vault and never think of it again. That's that.
I have so much other shit to do. I have so many more comments to approve.
You do. What is like this show has kind of become like Leon's comment hour. Like Renegade Cut is my bread and butter, but I also do a podcast if you want to listen to me talk about my comments. Like I mean, chase your bliss, right? Like do whatever makes you happy. It just doesn't seem like the best use of your time.
Okay. Well, I want to be able to have a vibrant audience and fan base and debate, and that means keeping an eye on it and making sure everyone treats each other with respect. And typically they do, because as mentioned, there are very few children who watch my show.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. This OVA series, it looks like it was started as 6 episodes, and then there's like an expanded up to 13 episode version of it. But
wow.
Anyway,
I haven't watched that at all.
It's just called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
13.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's our JoJo talk. Unless you guys want to talk more about JoJo, I am fine with that. I'm just not personally watching it.
Not really. I think Johnny, have you made much
Not
Progress
really.
through part 3?
No, I've only watched like one episode in the past 2 weeks. My attention has been diverted.
That's fine. They're getting up to in the part that's airing now. They're in part 4, and they're getting up to their Red Hot Chili Peppers arc, and I'm just fucking ecstatic. It's amazing.
Cool.
Red Hot Chili Peppers is an asshole. But I also watched some other stuff that I thought. I don't know, Leon. Have you not made time to watch the new Voltron Netflix series?
Oh, I wasn't planning on it at all.
Really? Maybe I'm getting you confused with Taylor, who's a big Voltron.
You must be.
I thought
Taylor already did.
Yeah, Taylor's a big Voltron fan. I thought you were as well. Was that just a joke you made once? I remember you talking about Voltron.
I think I've made jokes about both. I make jokes about shit I watched when I was young in the 80s from time to time, but I don't care about any of it. I don't remember one episode of Voltron, but I watched Voltron.
There was that one where the lions come together.
I remember maybe one episode of Thundercats, but Mumra is my go-to for explaining that someone is evil. It's just a thing that I guess I say, but I don't care about Thundercats at all. No, I think you have to be confused with someone else.
Okay. I know Taylor, my friend, who's also was on a recent episode of Game Crunk that we recorded, where I also told my best story, and the best story I have that Leon will never get to hear. Because
it was a pretty good story.
Show. It's a good story.
It's a very good story.
We also talked about Voltron. I was expecting maybe we'd have some more talk here, but you have not watched it. But
nope.
No interest? It's made by Studio Mir, the South Korean firm that also did The Legend of Korra, which...
I also did not watch that.
I mean, The Legend of Korra has a lot of problems, but the animation is not one of them. It's a wonderfully animated show. And Voltron is as well. It's a weird thing they did here, because it's clearly for kids. There's a lot of, like, fart jokes. There's a lot of, like, physical humor.
How many fart jokes?
A lot. Like, the villains are, like, one-dimensional, like, cardboard evil dudes. But then, like, the first episode is, like, an hour and 10 minutes.
Like 13?
Like, what?
13 fart jokes?
I have no idea, Johnny.
How many fart jokes per liter?
Okay, so this is what this is going to be?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Tell me about this show that I'm not going to watch.
Well, I'm curious.
I'm going to watch it. I'm curious.
Sorry.
Do you just not have any interest because it's just like, oh, it's cartoon and I don't care about cartoons?
No. Oh God, I watch tons of cartoons. I just don't. But as previously indicated, I don't care about action cartoons at all.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like not just anime, just like in general. Like I don't care about action cartoons.
So
I will
Voltron
watch a cartoon.
Has to get like hella gay, and maybe
no. Well, it might be. It could get hella gay, but it also has to be a comedy and not an action show.
I would argue that it's mostly a comedy because, like, I'm only like halfway through, but Voltron is not a thing they're in very often. Like, it's usually like locked up, or they're like they can't form it because of like plot reasons or whatever. So they spend a lot of time out of the thing doing character development, and there's some sexual tension between two of the male characters, and there's actually some gender stuff that's kind of a spoiler I won't go over. It's actually interesting that the direction they've taken it. I'm just confused by it's almost like schizophrenic approach to its age demographic, because it's like so clearly for kids, and then there's all this other material that's weirdly not. I don't really know what it's going for. I guess what it's trying to do is like get the adults who grew up with Voltron and new kids. I guess that's the most obvious answer, but it didn't feel as effortless as something like Avatar or Korra, which were just so confident with what they were, and it was like, we're very good, we don't care how old you are, enjoy this. So
all right. Well, that's. I guess you've got my interest a little bit, but I just have so much other shit.
Yeah. No, it's not like an extremely strong recommendation. It's a good versus evil show. It's pretty simple. Like, you've seen it before. I'm not like, oh, you have to go out and see Voltron, but it's like it's not low effort, and like there's clearly talent put behind it. So it's like a fairly standard genre piece, but it's a worthwhile entry, I think.
All right.
And the other thing I'm watching is all Netflix series, guys. There's the Bo Burnham stuff last week,
which I watched this week.
Yeah, me too.
Fucking good. The new Orange is the New Black is hitting soon.
Yeah.
And also recently Bloodline came back, and I'm watching that. I think it's cool that Netflix makes a show that only I and Leon are allowed to watch. Like if you don't log in using our accounts, it just doesn't show up.
I can watch. Right. I can watch Bloodline. All right, but that means I'm giving up on both the X-Files and JoJo to do it.
You're right.
There's only so much time. No, I'll talk about Bloodline in just a second. But I was also thinking another Netflix thing that came out was that Maria Bamford stuff that Johnny recommended.
Lady Dynamite, as well as the special.
Yeah, I tried watching that stand-up thing first because it was like a less of a time commitment. I was just kind of get into the flavor of her comedy before committing to the show. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of difficulty with that. It was I had a hard. I talk about I've had secondhand embarrassment really bad. I was cringing so much I had to turn it off. It's not that it's not funny. It's that it makes me like physically uncomfortable. Her style of humor, and I remember saying to myself like, "Oh, this is so Johnny. This is like a so crab so good scenario we're dealing with here." The way.
Quick side note, everybody, I found a restaurant this week called Forever Duck.
Fuck.
I was driving past it. And I just like saw the sign. It's like new Forever Duck, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Forever Duck, I want to eat Forever Duck."
So do I.
So we're gonna get a story about going to eat at Forever Duck soon.
Great.
Yes, such a distinct sense of humor, Johnny.
Johnny, I believe that your story about going to Forever Duck will last forever.
Forever?
Yeah.
Our children will still be telling it
forever. Anyways, continue.
But yeah, so I guess the long and short of it is I could not get into Maria Bamford, not because she's untalented, but because my palate recoiled in horror at it. Oh. I tried. That's like I
still think that you should give Lady Dynamite a go.
Okay. Because
it is. While it addresses a lot of the things that she talks about in her stand-up, you probably didn't last too long because the last half of the special is all about mental problems, essentially. Mm-hmm. So that's for me. That's where the show really starts to shine. But Lady Dynamite talks about all of those things, but in this fantastic fourth wall breaking, like very stylized, upbeat show.
Yeah.
I like watch one episode. It just smashes genres. It does.
Okay. I want to enjoy the stuff you enjoy, Johnny. I like being on your wavelength, but there's just certain facts of my existence which make that difficult sometimes.
It's okay. Lady Dynamite is very different than her stand-up. I'm a huge fan of both. But check Lady Dynamite out. It moves quickly. It doesn't like those quiet moments of awkwardness where the organist, the pianist, if you will, like that kind of stuff gone.
I like that guy. I wondered what his story was. Like, how did he get there?
It is so worth it just to hear Bert's German accent. Bert is one of her pugs. One of her dogs, her pug Bert. And Bert speaks with a German accent, and it's wonderful.
Pugs, God's greatest mistake.
No, they were designed by humans.
He had to have allowed it to happen. Anyway, I feel bad for the poor things. They're adorable, but they're squished. Someone squished them.
Anyways, check Lady Dynamite out. You won't regret it. It's way more on the level, more related.
I have a little hard time with awkwardness. I don't know if I've ever said this on the show, but my greatest dream is to reach a place where I can own and train a hawk so that when something gets awkward, I can say, well, that's Hawkward. And then the hawk will swoop down in the middle of the conversation and screech the way hawks do. And that'll break the ice. I think that would really save a lot of my social interactions.
I'm of the opinion, Austin.
Yeah.
That might make things a little more awkward.
Or Hawkward.
Yeah, or awkward.
And then it comes for a second run. So
go,
the last thing I want to say before we move into questions, or I guess Johnny's topic. I'm glad Leon's enjoying that clip. I watched Bloodline. The first season I liked a lot, and it was mainly because of the antagonist character, Danny, who was also the villain in Slow West, which is a film I enjoyed a lot. I don't know that actor's name. Those are the only two things I've ever seen him in. He
was in a movie I just saw, like, in a surprise. Oh, he's in this kind of way. The Place Beyond the Pines, which stars Ryan Gosling. And him, and also Bradley Cooper. It's very good. Anyway, but yeah, he's in shit, and he's going to be in the new Star Wars movie coming out this year.
Is he?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm trying to find the actor's name because he's the best part of the show, and he's not in the second season all that much for reasons. His name is Ben Mendelsohn. Okay. He's like kind of almost like a Gary Oldman figure. Anyway, the second season brings in the big new heavy hitter, I guess, is John Leguizamo, who's not a bad actor, but like when he shows up, you know things are in trouble. Like the Super Mario Brothers movie, the Spawn movie, The Land of the Dead. Like John Leguizamo is like the name guy they bring in when they're like, I don't know.
He was in John Wick.
And also I have to say that Land of the Dead is pretty solid. So there's that. But I also feel that he plays shitty person you want to see die really well. When he showed up, I'm like, oh, he's the villain, and I want him to die. And he nailed it, in my opinion. He's not like a powerful force in the way that Danny was. But I feel like as one of the antagonists anyway of the season, I thought he was pretty solid. There was a lot going on in that season, more than it just Danny versus everyone, like first season.
Leguizamo is not a bad actor. I don't want to give that impression. I just feel like he shows up when things start dropping in quality. That's just like a thing that happens with him. It's like his appearance. But anyway, if people don't remember when we talked about this first season, it's like a soap opera set in the Keys, the Florida Keys. And I identify with it a lot because I recognize a lot of the people and places in this stuff. Like there's a character who shows up. He's actually one of the brothers of the main character, and he owns like a marina and stuff. And it's like, I know that guy, like just that guy, the marina owner who wears those fucking shirts. Like that fucking dude, I know him. And there's like a villainous like drug dealer, old guy who's just like, he's not like a dangerous person, but he's got enough money to be a threat and stuff. And it's like, I know that guy. Like I worked with a drug dealer named Tony the Tiger. I think I've told that for you. Like it's that guy. Like he's a guy. Like I've totally recognized a lot of this stuff from my life, and it's crazy how well they captured it. Like I can like smell and like feel these places. Their stupid, sticky, shitty, humid atmosphere, and they've really captured it. But it's also mostly just like slow boil family drama, so I can see why it's not like a huge hit.
Yeah, it's good. I didn't like the second season as much as the first season, just because I felt like the first season was such a complete story that if the first season did not have that last scene where you're introduced to a new character, I could feel like, oh, that was an incredible miniseries. But then there was kind of like a to be continued thing. But I don't want to say that the second season was bad. It was actually quite good. It's hard to top that first one. But yeah, I thought it was pretty strong, and I really want more people to watch it. So it's not just me and Austin discussing it, like screaming into the universe for people to watch it.
I mean, get there.
No. Not. I don't mean specifically you, Johnny. I mean just people in general. I said on my Twitter, which has like thousands of followers, and I said, hey, does anyone watch Bloodline? And I think 2 people said yes. So it's like that's a very small amount. I mean, enough people must watch it for Netflix to give it a second season, and I suspect they will try to give it a third. I hope, but it's not like this monster hit that I feel like maybe it should be. It's just,
and Carrie's in it.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Can I say this without being weird?
You're just gonna say like Sissy Spacek's adorable, right?
Yeah, she really is. She is a lovely older lady.
Yeah, she's cool.
she's there. I just want to hug her a lot. Like, not in a sexual way. I just feel like she's really cute.
We'd work up to that.
No, I just feel like she's really cute for an older lady. I don't know. I feel like she's one of those actresses who just decided, not to get any weird plastic surgery, and she just kind of aged gracefully into this, lovely older gal. I shouldn't just talk about her looks because I guess that's kind of sexist. She's also a really great actress. She's really good in this series. She's probably my favorite part of the series besides Danny, but he's not around anymore.
Yeah, because most of those quote unquote heroic characters are fucking slime buckets.
Yeah,
so it's hard to find anyone to like.
Yeah, she's not perfect. She has her flaws, but of the main characters, she's the most sympathetic. And I'm watching it with I watched both seasons with someone, and I really want her to find out what happened to Danny. I was like, oh, please, let that be the last scene. Of the second season, and something else happened instead. No, we gotta wait for the third season for more reveals. But I guess they got me. I want to see that so much. They nailed it. I'm not sure what to say. It's a very good show, and I want everyone to watch it.
Oh, I watched one more thing.
Okay.
It wasn't a Netflix original, but now it is. I think it was originally BBC. It's Peaky Blinders, or as you're legally required to say, Peaky Blinders. It's the only way anyone pronounces it.
I watched the first season of that, and then I noticed that every single female character in the show is either raped or attempt to raped or sexually assaulted in some way. And I was like, this is gross. And that is my threshold for gross. And then I stopped watching it. But I have to admit, beyond that one thing that makes me completely incapable of enjoying it and watching it further, it is a fairly well-written show besides that one thing. And it looks really good. And the acting is very good. It's just super gross. So I couldn't deal.
The second season is really good, too. It's also heavily reliant on sexual assault, which is a really unfortunate aspect. That's how I recommend it to people. I'm like, it's really good. Also, trigger warning. It gets fucking raw, and it's hard to watch sometimes. But it's a crime drama about a English gang back in horse times. I don't know the actual year.
Back in horse times, you say?
It's not that horse times. It's after World War One.
It's around that era.
Because they a bunch of the characters fought in World War One, and that's a main point of it. So there are horses though. It's just not medieval. I want that to be clear.
Yeah, I'm being an asshole.
I know.
The third season actually specifically revolves around a armored vehicle heist. So it's definitely cars are involved. But I'm just being flip. My favorite aspect of the soundtrack, and this might sound, I fucked that up. My favorite aspect of the show is the soundtrack, which might seem shallow because people went to a lot of trouble to make it look good and act good. But it's a scene where fit British men punch each other to Arctic Monkeys and Radiohead and David Bowie. And I'm just that's my aesthetic. Just make it a series of music videos where they cut each other with razors while that soundtrack plays. And that's all I need. So they got me to an extent. But yeah, the first season had this strong draw about World War I PTSD, and there's all this family drama. Season 2 has this thing about them trying to become more of a legitimate organization and the love interest stuff. And at the end of season 2, there's a twist about what will happen in season 3. And I don't feel like it really makes that interesting in season 3. I feel like it loses some of the narrative momentum. It's hard to talk around the plot twists because it's a very twisty turny show with people constantly switching allegiances and backstabbing, some Game of Thrones shit. But the guy who plays the Scarecrow in Batman Begins is the main guy. What's his fucking name?
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, he's good. He's a very intense dude.
Yeah, he's a very good actor. I find myself having very few things I can say bad against this show that I absolutely loathe. I just every fucking female character.
I know.
It's all right to just have a creep limit, Leon.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It's not just a creep limit. I find that it's Why is that all you can think of to do with all these women? There's so many of them, and they all have to well, someone's got to get raped this episode. Okay, I'm sorry. I go on about this because it's just it's a thing for me, just for me, but also it's it's so fucking prevalent in so many shows that would otherwise be great.
I know. It's a downer, and I understand what they're going for. It's like the Game of Thrones thing, where they're quote unquote trying to make it realistic to time. I know. I think a lot of it could be cut. I think there's one character whose character arc is kind of dependent on it. So, I get it. I know it's a thing. I do want to say about the third series. I think they do something really interesting with the older brother character, who in the first two is the kind of stereotypical unhinged bar fight brother guy. In the third one, in the third season, he finds religion, and that's super interesting, especially to me because I'm a fucking weirdo. And also, the villain is a priest, played by that one cop from Hot Fuzz, who's his name is Patty Considine. I don't know. If you saw his face, you'd be like, oh, the Hot Fuzz guy. But he plays a creepy ass priest, and that's a cool thing.
I just learned that Ben Mendelsohn is going to be in Star Citizen.
Hey, that's video game talk. Be careful with that.
He's great. I mean, I approve of this video game talk, but now we're done.
Yeah. So I'll stop talking about Netflix I watched. That's been the Austin's Netflix corner. Sorry. That's our tagline. Sorry.
Good. It's pretty good. Okay. Well, let's do questions. I mean, we're almost an hour in, but let's hit them. I mean, I don't have anything I need to do immediately.
Johnny, do you have anything before we start?
Oh, I'm sorry, Johnny. If you have any topics you want to talk about this week, go right ahead.
Well, I already blew my Forever Duck story. That seems like I started on a high note.
That was a megaton.
Oh my.
Let me think here. I watched a couple of movies this week of no real consequence. What did I watch? Something called Freaks of Nature, which was this horror movie kind of deconstruction about this idyllic suburban America where zombies, vampires, and humans kind of all live side by side. In a tenuous piece, and then aliens invade, and everybody just loses their shit, right? It was pretty funny. It played on a couple of horror tropes and things like that. It was really self-aware. The cast was great. Guest appearances from Patton Oswalt, fucking Bob Odenkirk, Christoph Waltz. I don't get the Comedy Channel or Comedy Central up in Canada, so I never got to watch Key and Peele from start to finish. So I don't know which one's Key and which one's Peele.
That's racist.
I know that sounds terrible, but it's just I don't know. But the taller one is in it as well. Who is who?
He's in stuff.
Okay, so Keegan-Michael Key is in it. And yeah, it was a clever Dennis Miller? No, not Dennis Miller.
Dennis the Menace.
Oh fuck.
Leary?
Yeah, Dennis Leary. Dennis Leary is in it.
Nailed it.
Thank you. Yeah. For some reason, whenever I got introduced to Dennis Miller and Dennis Leary around the same time, and now whenever I try and access that memory, I'm like, oh shit. Which is which? I don't remember.
I wouldn't want to sit next to either of them.
I know that's racist. All white people look the same. I'm sorry.
One is conspicuously Irish. That's his whole shtick. He's an angry Irish stereotype, and never mind. We could be on this. Do people even know who we're talking about? I feel like we're old.
The generation may have jumped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Anyway, it was entertaining enough. I've been watching The Night Manager as well, which is an adaptation of the John le Carré novel. It's good. Hugh Laurie. Tom Hiddleston. Not done yet, so can't really say, hey, that was great. It's entertaining, but it's not evocative. I'm not like, rush out right now and watch The Night Manager. The first episode was really great, but I find it's kind of petered out. Still watching Preacher and Outcast. Yeah. Nothing special.
Okay. I watched The Place Beyond The Place Beyond the Pines. Go see it.
Did you like that?
Yes, I did, quite a bit.
I really liked most of the movie.
What time period made it not fun for you?
Like the last half of the latter period.
Oh, okay.
I think we call it the last quarter.
Yeah, basically
but no, it's not, because the movie's not divided up into like, here's half in the past and half in the future.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's a 3-act structure in a very unique way. It's like literally 3 completely different stories that are about the same thing but connected through certain similar. It's a thing. When the first act ended, I was like, oh, this feels like the end of the movie. And then there was something else entirely. But yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I don't want to spend too much time on what I've been watching this week. I'm just going to say good. And I also watched Pop Star, Never Stopping in the theater. It was also funny. And I want everyone to see that instead of like some of the shit that's in the theaters right now. I shouldn't say it's shit. I just assume it is because it's a bunch of
yeah, but The Nice Guys is also in theaters right now.
Yeah, but that was from a few weeks ago. You should have seen it by now, everyone. What's wrong with you? But yeah, that was good. I don't really want to talk about anything else. I mean, I've already said what I wanted to say about Atlas Shrugged. Oh, I also saw the Jungle Book live action movie in the theater.
Which one? Nah.
You shut up. I said live action in the theater. The only one that's out right now. Anyway,
I know.
There will be
that's
another
my problem. Is that I have it in my head that there's 2 live action ones, but the other one isn't out yet.
Yeah. Well, that one's the not Disney one, so who cares? They're not going to sing the songs.
Did they sing the songs?
They did. They said they sang two of the songs, the 2 ones you remember, not the elephant one that no one remembers. But yeah, it was good. It wasn't like great. Like, like it's a sensational movie, but I will say this, certainly the best of the Disney live action remake things that they've been doing, way better than Maleficent and Cinderella. They just got better. Maleficent was and then Cinderella was almost good, but wasn't. And then the Jungle Book was just good, but not great. So maybe by the time they do Beauty and the Beast, they'll have a really great one. So we'll see. And that's it.
Questions. Brent asks, would you have sex with your future self? We're just jumping in right now, folks. Just in the deep end.
How far in the future?
It doesn't specify. I think in the lost episode of Word Funk, I talked about time travel a bit and how a lot of it is just bullshit because like future you isn't you. Like it has completely different molecules. Like there's nothing biologically.
Not necessarily.
That is you.
No, I'm sorry, but we've gone over this. The whole cells changing every 7 years. That's not your brains did everything. It's just.
I know what you're saying.
It's still the same structure.
Yeah.
So if you pick up a building and you move it somewhere else.
I understand the ship of Theseus. What I'm saying is it's an irrelevant amount of similarity. Like we have an overwhelming amount of genetic identical material with a banana, and that doesn't mean we're related to bananas in an uncomfortable way. We still eat them.
So
okay, don't fuck a banana.
The moral of the story is yes, you owe it to yourself, both of you.
All right. First of all, no, because I don't find myself attractive. So there's
sad.
that. It's just, that's the way it is. I don't think I'm going to get better as I age. So there's definitely that. Unless I'm the future self going back in time to never mind.
What if it was tomorrow, Leon?
Yeah, well,
what if it was 3 months from now, Leon, and he was ripped? You're like, Leon, your diet really worked.
Here's the thing. Here's the weird thing about this. If about time travel and having sex with yourself, Like, if me in the future comes back in time and says, I want to have sex with you, if we do have sex, does he already know that? Like,
because in the past he would have,
right,
yeah.
Right.
It depends. It depends on what theory of time travel you believe in.
Right. If it's multiple universes, then no, not necessarily.
But is it like the movie Frequency, where you have like multiple things that are just like are suddenly happening inside of your brain? So if like future Leon comes back in time and just destroys me, like it's so hard.
What if he wants to be the bottom?
No, listen.
Future Leon tops. We all know this.
Yeah, listen. Let's say future Leon comes back in time and just plows me like into the dirt.
Let's say, just for the sake of argument here, okay?
Yeah.
That you really enjoy it.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, let me finish my sentence because I keep getting cut off. Let's say future Leon comes back in time and has butt sex with me. Yeah. What if it's happening?
Just butt sex?
Hold on. As it's happening, is he only then starting to get the memories of what it felt like for me in the present to have it? Like, is he experiencing it at the same time?
I believe in Frequency it happened when he went to bed.
It depends on the universe, yeah. I would assume that the most likely version is that either you're in alternate universes and therefore no, or you're in the same timeline and therefore yes.
Look, we got to figure this shit out.
It is important.
See, if it's Time Cop,
then you become goo.
Develop the scar right away.
Right, and if it's 7 days time travel, future Leon has to go into space first and then crash land on Earth and then fuck me. So look, there's a lot of complications that we need to figure out. But the long and short of it is, no, I would not. I don't think I'm good looking. So this is not like a thing that I would want. It would also be like super awkward. It'd be like, so is this like, what does this count as? And we'd both be like, I don't know. And then, so no.
You can try to rationalize and say like, oh, we share DNA, so with the same person. But like from your perspective, it's just another dude. Like it might as well be your twin. That's the thing I was trying to get at on that time travel stuff is genetics are bullshit garbage that we put too much stock in, right? A clone is not some kind of special thing. It would just be like having a twin. It's not like it's not magic. And time travel.
Time travel means that you share a history.
Yeah, there is that, but there's still. I mean, let me put it this way: if future Leon comes back in time to fuck me, we're not the same person right now. What
if he doesn't come back in time to fuck you? All right,
it just happens organically.
But you're just hanging out, right?
And he's our eyes lock.
Say, do you want to get laid?
And chemistry just develops. I think if future Austin came back, I might be into him because he'd probably be very daddy because it's future Austin. I don't think he would be into me though. That's the thing. I feel like I would turn me down.
I can see that.
This is a profoundly stupid question. I assume Johnny's answer is yes both ways because Johnny's banging.
You guys are just like the least adventurous people I know.
Johnny's really hot right now, but he has mentioned on a previous episode that he will eventually just kind of let himself go. So I'm not trying to be a dick. That's just what you said. So like, if like, I don't know, 55-year-old Johnny comes back in time, just hoping to like bust one.
55-year-old Johnny is not going to be interested in fucking.
Oh, okay. You've reached a higher plane at that point? What does that mean?
I'm hoping so. No,
I'm hoping we shed our bodies.
There's going to come a point in time. All right, the point is here is that when I just decide to let myself go, I'm done.
Okay. That's cool.
I'm out.
Cool.
That's it. No more.
So
the point, Leon, is that I either come back slamming, and it's on, or I come back with like a size 38 pants, and I'm like, where do you keep your brisket?
You just made a lot of people with a very average for American waists really self-conscious. Just
Sorry.
now.
Sorry.
Okay.
But here's the thing, Leon. Even if you're not super into sex or yourself, if anybody was able to get the most out of your experience because they know you and what you like, it would be you. So that's the optimum experience.
They know how to be gentle with you.
Or not.
Or not, yeah.
Yeah, future Leon comes back and just starts choking the shit out of Leon.
And Leon's like, oh my God, I wish I'd known.
I know what's up.
Okay, next question, please. We've gone as far as we can with this one. In fact, we never should have answered it in the first place. But I'm keeping this in because it's too good. Too good, bad. Next.
Professor J, Doctor of Questions, asks, religious or mythic story you'd like to see turned into a movie? One of you should probably start, because if I get going, I'll never stop.
I would love to see like a mini series about the Apocrypha. I think that would be interesting. But it would have to be, like I said, not just one movie. You know, there's a lot in there. I think that would be cool. But yeah. I mean, I don't have like super specific feelings about it. I just think that would be neat.
You could get a movie out of the Infancy Gospel of Thomas. You could get a movie out of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. You could get a couple movies out of there. It'd be good.
Okay. Johnny?
Yeah?
Question.
Do you need some time?
No, you know what? I think I'd like to see Ayurvedic. I think it's called Ayurvedic Hinduism.
Mm-hmm. I dip my toes into some of that stuff. Zoroastrianism,
Ayurvedic Hinduism. Or Ayurveda, it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Because the creation of the world in Ayurveda, oh man, it's crazy as shit.
There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. My background is in Judeo-Christianity, so I'm not like super well versed in Hinduism or Islam or a number of other stuff. But those are some interesting things. There's like several different distinct schools of thought on that, and they're like all quote unquote Hinduism, but very different. That's interesting. I don't know if we have any. Are there any mainstream like Hindu films in English languages?
I assume that if you live in the right neighborhoods or something like that, you can probably find a specialty store, but...
Also, I'm saying mainstream. Are there any mainstream
I doubt
films?
I really doubt it.
It definitely seems untapped. I imagine there's probably a pretty big market in other
Maybe it's not even
countries.
Ayurveda.
There's a couple of different things, and I'm not the person to talk to. That's why I don't... I don't dip into those wells often on the show, because that is not my area of expertise.
Because I know that there's I think there's a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was Hindu. That was like the reason why it's like there's fucking spaceships in it, shit like that. And like the reason why Australia is a wasteland was because somebody dropped like a god bomb on it or something.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Scientology?
No, I'm absolutely not thinking of Scientology.
Okay.
Damn. I wish I could remember.
Do you want to Google around while I say some things?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, are either of you guys familiar with Solomon from the Bible?
Sure.
Are you familiar with the Testament of Solomon?
I just know, as king and, a couple of the stories, but that's it.
Okay, so for most people, King Solomon is a figure from the Old Testament. He was a king. He did some stuff. It's interesting, but not incredibly important, except for the Judea-Israel schism historical stuff. I'm probably boring you. But there's a text called the Testament of Solomon, which is not part of the Bible. It's written much later. It's not canon or anything, but it describes a story in which King Solomon built the temple, the first temple of I want to say I'm trying to think if there's a specific name for it. It might just be the first temple of Israel. But he built it with demons that he had enslaved. I think with like a magic ring or something.
Nice.
So I think most of the stuff I'm familiar from is from a book called The Lesser Key of Solomon, which are you either of you familiar with that? Or the Infernal Dictionary?
Sorry?
The Lesser Key of Solomon?
No.
I'm afraid not.
Okay. So we've talked before about like Aleister Crowley and Satanism and stuff. A lot of their ideas they got from these books. There's the Infernal Dictionary and the Lesser Key of Solomon, which are like demonology texts. If you ever seen like what demons look like, supposedly, like what does Asmodeus look like, or Belphegor, or Baal, like those pictures are from these books. It's also called the Ars Goetia. You might have heard of it. But I think most people are probably familiar with Shin Megami Tensei. All the demon designs in that are taken from these books. Anyway, these books are based on the Testament of Solomon, which is the story where King Solomon enslaved all these demons and had them build this temple. And he has this arc, basically, where he goes from like a good king with good intentions, and then he has like mortal flaws, and he has this like downfall. And I think it's an interesting story. And I'm also just surprised how long some of these ideas have persisted, because it's just like dudes drew these pictures of like lions with frog heads attached or whatever like 700 years ago, and they're still around. I would like to see a movie of that shit. That stuff's really cool.
Okay. Johnny, anything you want to add before we go to the next one? I know
I'm looking stuff up now, and yeah, it is a Hindu myth because I'm recognizing some of the terminology here, like what an astra is, because like an astra is a missile type weapon that can be hurled at an enemy. So it's like the Brahmastra, embedded with the mystical force of Brahma, this weapon releases millions of missiles, great fires, and a destructive potential capable of extinguishing all creation, if not used by and aimed only at a celestial fighter.
It sounds like a D&D weapon.
And then there's the Brahmashirsha Astra, a weapon capable of greater destruction than a Brahmastra. It can burn all creation to ashes once discharged. And apparently Arjuna and Ashwatthama both used it against each other after the Mahabharata war. Capable of killing even heavens. Like, this sounds like shit that Michael Bay would just, like, wet his pants to direct.
This sounds like one of those, like the Gods of Egypt or Clash of the Titans things where it's like big spectacle CGI throwdowns.
Yeah, but I'd love to see it with actually, Indian people.
That'd be nice. Sure. I was thinking more like a Pan's Labyrinth style, like practical effects and like puppetry and makeup and stuff to bring these demons to life. That's the kind of the idea I had in my head.
Capable of destroying an entire multiverse in the blink of an eye.
OP, please nerf.
Yeah.
I Googled this stuff that I was talking about while Johnny was talking. The Infernal Dictionary, or Dictionary Infernal, was
There's
written.
There's a snake weapon.
This book was published in 1818, and the Lesser Key of Solomon in the mid 17th century. So I guess the 1600s. Those are the ones with the drawings that are pretty famous. So if you've ever seen like a drawing of Astaroth or like Beelzebub and stuff, that's where those drawings are from. But the story, the Testament of Solomon, is from the first millennium CE. Okay. So if you want to look any of that stuff up, I'm sure it sounds like gibberish when I say it out loud, but if you saw it on a Wikipedia page, probably be more readable.
Okay.
Let's go through some quick ones. How about this?
All right.
Creature asks, are doner kebabs, I don't know how that is, I think it's a food thing, and Euro pitas closer to sandwiches or taco-like wraps? Oh no, he's drawn us into the sandwich.
I don't know what any of that is, so I'm not going to do it. The end. I don't know what that is. You just mentioned a bunch of words that sound like words but aren't.
Doner kebabs?
Yeah.
But doner is like a kind of a slow sort of like shaved meat. Kind of like shawarma.
Is it a sandwich?
It can be.
Next.
He's trolling us.
No. Next.
He's trolling us.
Done.
Blake Schwartz asks, "What's the coolest fictional weapon ever?" You're gonna say the Leon. It's the glaive from Kroll. Is
the Care Bear stare?
I guess. Yeah.
The Care Bear stare?
It's the Care Bear stare.
Yeah.
You guys are fucking dorks. You know that?
Yep. Next.
Pruitt Holcomb asks, "Any advice for someone who loves games and nerd shit but has no one to talk about them with in real life?" Where do you find nerd friends, guys? The internet?
Usually the internet.
I found a bunch of nerd friends back when I lived in Austin through meetup.com. It's easy.
Is it? It took me 25 years to find people to play D&D with.
Yeah, but the internet exists now. So
you just think the internet is the answer, basically?
Yeah, in order to find people who are not on the internet, you need to use the internet. So you just got to take care of that shit.
That's one of them that they're catch-22s.
No, I mean, you can use the internet, like Leon says, in a multitude of ways. You can either meet and chat to people on the internet, or you can use the internet to find people locally to meet.
I don't know. At my university, we had like this area where like nerdy shit happened. It was like a computer lab, and they all had like Steam and a bunch of games installed. And there was like a movie theater that shows like really old, cool hipster movies, and like nerdy people that just congregated there. So if you're in a college town, that's also probably helpful.
Okay, one more, and then we got to go.
Let's see. Cyretha asks, "Who is/was your favorite wrestler?"
Probably. He went back in the day. He was called Bryan Danielson. Then he was called Daniel Bryan.
Trying to hide his identity. He switched him
No. That Bryan Danielson is his real name. When he was signed to WWE, they decided to call him Daniel Bryan.
Okay, I don't really know that much about wrestling, but I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson seems like a pretty cool dude.
Okay,
that's more for his acting, but
next, Johnny.
Jacob.
Who is that? Oh, from the Bible. Fuck, I'm off my game today. Rick Armstrong asks, "If I ask more questions, will Leon be mean to me again?"
Goodbye, everyone.